This past quarter, we've been really hard at work making platform enhancements to the vendor distribution side of the replicated platform, main thing that you as software vendors interact with, helping you to more seamlessly scale your software deployments to every type of customer and every type of environment. And so the goal of this session is really just to cover the newest capabilities that you need to know about, including vendor portal, enterprise portal, security center, and more. So, of course, Alex touched on this a little bit earlier in his talk, but one of the biggest updates of the last quarter was launching Enterprise Portal as GA for any vendors using embedded cluster and the Helm CLI installation methods. So this was a big milestone for us and the next step in our mission to deliver that world-class unboxing experience for enterprise software. Any of you that have been with us long enough for the download portal, you'll remember it was really a way to download air gap assets. It didn't have a lot besides that. This is really a big evolution of that, where we want this to be the one-stop shop for your end customers. It's brandable. It looks like yours. You can put a custom domain on it. You can provide license updates. People can upload support bundles. We'll go through all of that, but it does so much more than the download portal ever could, and it really can be the front door for your software delivery experience. So just touching on some of the things you can already do today, if you're not yet using Enterprise Portal or you're not fully using Enterprise Portal, we'll talk through all of these at a high level. But as Alex showed a little bit of, you get guided installations. We'll talk a little bit about how you can control that as well. You can come and actually see the need to upgrade and manage your upgrades from there. The ability to easily generate and manage support bundles and upload those back to you as the vendor. We'll touch lightly on the kind of branding and customization. You also have the ability to actually use the Enterprise Portal to enable self-service trial or community signups as well. And we, of course, have the new recently announced Security Center Alpha that you can optionally enable for better security visibility within Enterprise Portal as well. First thing I want to touch on is just the guided instructions. So based on your installation method, how your release is structured, when you use Enterprise Portal out of the box, and if you support one or more installation methods, your end user chooses which installation method. If you only support embedded cluster, only support Helm, they don't even see this. They just get taken right into the correct sort of installation instructions. But they're clear, they're dynamically tailored based on the installation method. And basically, it just works out of the box is the idea. So where in the past, if you had a Helm install, you had to go to vendor portal and download the Helm instructions and give those to your customer. Now the step-by-step instructions are just dynamically rendered right there out of the box in Enterprise Portal. Additionally, you have the ability to add pre and post install content in the installation methods as well. So again, this is optional. If you don't have pre and post content, it'll just skip it and skip straight into those installation instructions that are dynamically rendered. But for folks that may, in my example here, you want to make sure that you've done the documented requirements. You may want to communicate which cloud platforms you're actually supporting this for, reference back to your documentation. Maybe for the end step, if it was a required release because there was a database migration, you might want to include some scripts or some other things to have them run in that one-time case to double check things. So basically, it's the ability to now customize the content before the installation instruction starts with that pre-install step, but also the post-install step as well. So the screenshot on the left sort of shows you that's from Vendor Portal, where you can actually control all of that content in just standard Markdown. And then the right is a screenshot example of those pre-install instruction step being rendered. Customizable instructions is another thing that we've recently launched. So this is alpha. This is behind a feature flag, and we'll talk about how you can kind of get access at the end of this talk. But this is basically if you want to further customize the Enterprise Portal and you want to take those dynamically rendered instructions and actually replace them with your own set of instructions, you can now do that with our fully customizable instructions with this per channel with MDX. So I'm not going to go too deep on that. I gave you, there's an example here again on the left is an example of MDX. You can do conditional rendering. So you can have, oh, if it's Helm, say these things. If it's Linux, say these things. Martez's upcoming talk next, he's actually going to get really deep dive on this. So I'm not going to go too deep into this, but this is a really cool way to be able to actually further customize those default instructions to whatever you need them to be for your customer. Then we have the idea of a resource only annotation. This was also very recently introduced. So further in the idea of customizing what your customers are seeing in the enterprise portal. Some of our software vendors that we work with, they structured their deployment so they might have extra charts or resources that are necessary, say, during an embedded cluster resource or embedded cluster deployment. But they don't necessarily want those same charts. They don't need to be pulled. They don't need to be referenced in a Helm installation because they've just structured their application to require different things for Linux versus a Helm install. And so previously, if you kept it all as one application, the Helm instructions might show charts that they don't necessarily need for a Helm installation. Now we have this idea of an installer only annotation. So this allows you to explicitly exclude Helm charts or resources within the charts that are only applicable to one of the replicated installer methods like embedded cluster. When you apply this annotation to charts or resources, basically they are hidden from any of your customers that are just doing pure Helm installs and don't need to see or reference those charts. Additionally, when we show Security Center, we're showing the container vulnerabilities for all of the images in the deployment, but also we allow you to easily access a generated SBOM for the resource. And when you exclude this annotation, not only do they not appear in the Helm installation instructions as images that need to be pulled, but they're also excluded from the rendered SBOMs because they're not applicable for your Helm install customers since they're not used in their deployment model. Mentioned upgrade as well, and this is where Alex in his talk said that this will start to be more of an integrated experience with the next generation of embedded cluster. So when you come to the dashboard, this is live updating. If I push a new release and my end customer has this up and they're on a version back, I push a new version, they'll actually see the update little flag there, update and show that there is a new release available to them. If they're looking at their instances, it'll tell them that they should upgrade, give the sort of upgrade instructions. So again, this is just helping them have a one-stop place where they can come to install the software, upgrade the software, etc. We also have the support bundle aspect of this as well. And now we really recommend support bundles, just allowing you all to more easily troubleshoot issues. Right now, if they're running that in, say, embedded cluster or the COTS admin console, unless you've enabled that optional feature to send straight from the admin console, they have to download it. They have to send it to you in some way, whether a file share or an email. This actually allows them to come back to their same place they're always interacting with your software and just upload the bundle right here. When they upload the bundle, they'll actually see it at the bottom of the dashboard. They have control over it. They can re-download it if they want it. They can delete it if they don't want it to be on their dashboard view anymore. When they upload it, it goes straight into your vendor portal team account. Again, Replicated does not see that unless you choose to share it with Replicated as part of a support escalation process. But it just helps make it easier for them to come back to the brandable domain that looks like your domain that they know where they go and check for updates, etc., and open a support issue, upload a support issue. You can enter your own support portal information, support email, etc. This content is somewhat controllable on this page as well, but just a really nice way to more easily encourage folks to share support bundles with you. And then branding and customization. Right now, we allow control over things like logo, colors, messaging, but it's not just like the branding, the portal. In some of these screenshots, I made mine orange here for sort of our Slacker news demo, and you can see how that's being configured in the backend in this screenshot. But you also have a tremendous amount of control over the branding of the emails too. Enterprise Portal sends a lot of emails, the initial invite. You can set it up to email customers that there's new release versions available. If you do enable the sort of self-service trial access, all of those emails are like configurable with HTML so that you can make them look exactly like you want. Out of the box, they're pretty simple default, but again, you have control over that, making it look more like your preferred product kind of color UX experience. And then I mentioned self-service access. So this is the ability, again, optional, but you can turn this on if you're interested in actually enabling customers to self-serve access to your application. So this is a screenshot from Vendor Portal. It's part of the Enterprise Portal section of your Vendor Portal experience. And you can come in and say, okay, yeah, maybe I want to only allow this for Helm and not embedded cluster because I want to talk to those folks. And they can only have trial license and I want it to expire in 30 days. But when you actually set this up, you get a brandable sign up URL where instead of the enterprise portal just being a login, it's actually encouraging them to sign up. When they sign up, it will actually bring that to your attention down here at the bottom of the screen with the pending trials. And they'll be able to have access to the enterprise portal once they successfully authenticate and accept, and they'll be able to actually access the license and pull down the software. So again, this is a very nice way if you either have a community edition that you're just aren't staffed to be as hands-on about, or if you want to have don't need to talk to sales initially, trial access, just to get them in the door and get them talking to you and getting hands-on in the software. So this is another nice optional aspect of Enterprise Portal that we added this past quarter as well. And then, of course, security visibility. So we announced the Security Center as a new alpha capability in October. The idea is that this helps vendors strengthen security enablement in your application delivery process by making it easier for both you and your enterprise customers to monitor known security risks and vulnerabilities in your software, particularly software running on their side, which they may lag in upgrading to the newest versions available. So this is available to interested early users as an alpha. It is behind a feature flag, so let us know if you're interested in this. But the Security Center information is all powered by replicated secure build technology. And so what that really means is you're basically using gripe scanning, and every image is scanned continuously, not just at release time. And so as a new capability within Vendor Portal team, the Security Center basically gives you a summary of top security risks identified. It lets you dive down into the details of specific vulnerabilities and which containers they're actually impacting from that as well. So within Enterprise Portal, so the Vendor Portal side that I just showed, that helps you understand what's going on in your currently promoted releases across your various channels. You can optionally, on either a global level or a per customer level, enable Security Center to be visible in your enterprise portal that your end customers are interacting with as well. So the information is a little bit more high level here because they can't necessarily go fix the package version update that your software needs to update to fix the CVE, right? The goal here is really to just have high security transparency. This is the latest report or the latest state of either a selected version or the given release version, with the primary use case of pushing them to upgrade. Ideally, your latest release would have 0 CVEs all down the board. And so again, the main thing is drive them to want to upgrade, to want to see that number of CVEs being resolved. It's also a really nice way to provide the SBOM. Since we're constantly scanning those images, it's basically rendered on demand for the given installer type and the given release that that the vendor has selected. Some of the very, very new stuff, as in the last few days in the Security Center stuff on the Enterprise Portal. Thank you to those of you who have gotten alpha access and already been giving us some great feedback. So based on some of that initial alpha feedback, we now show the CVE information as a comparison between selected and latest available. Originally, we were thinking between versions. We got some feedback that was confusing, and what folks really wanted was, hey, here's my latest release. Here's the release you're running. Look how many CVEs would be fixed if you would just upgrade, back to the use case of really trying to push the end customers to upgrade to the latest versions of your software. So now in that summary, we're actually diffing latest available release version to them versus whatever version they happen to be running or happen to have selected to view. So we also now better show if the version that they're looking at in Security Center is latest, if that version has any active instances running against it. And then when they dive down into the details of the actual container image list, we now show the image digest so it's more easily referenceable, and last scan details so they understand, yeah, where does this information actually come from? What is the timestamp of this reported information? So that's some of the things that just rolled out in the last couple of days on the Enterprise Portal side of Security Center. So this is an example of kind of what I was talking about, where I'm on version 3 here. I have a version 4 that's available to me. I cut off the top of the screenshot there, but you would see that an update was available up in the tab header of the screenshot. So it is showing me, one, it's warning me that I'm on version 1.3 and there is a critical update available that fixes 135 CVEs. And I can see some of that breakdown down here as well. And then on the vendor portal side, we've continued to make some improvements as well based on your initial alpha feedback. So now the page actually displays which release the information is for. So it's just really easily to know, like when you're landing on this page, like what release sequence, what channel am I looking at, and then be able to click through that information as well. And now also on the dashboard version of this page, this is showing the container images detail, but on the overview dashboard page, there's now view details link. So anytime you're looking at any information in sort of that summary overview page, you can always dive down and get into the details. Also, the flagged images are put in the context of how many images you have overall. You might see 12 container images have vulnerabilities out of 22 overall, for example. And then when an image is flagged in as vulnerable, ultimately as being on the vendor side, your development team is going to need to act to mitigate that risk if there is an upstream patch that's available. So one of the things that we just added yesterday too, that you can see at the bottom of this screenshot, is we actually added the source information to the vendor portal side of the security center. So it's now much quicker for you to identify where in your application chart and overall deployment this problematic vulnerability image, flagged image is being referenced. So you can see an example there that this thing that was flagged is actually being referenced by 3 different resources within the application below. So hopefully that'll make it a lot quicker for you to reverse map back to the areas of the deployment that you need to be updating the versions of these resources if there are upstream versions available. So on the source information, since this was released so recently, if you're looking for, this is basically any release that was promoted after December 10th, 2025. If you have an older release and you would like this information to show up, you just need to click rebuild the air gap bundle in the vendor portal. So if you either promote a new release as of yesterday, or you choose to really build your air gap bundle from an older release, this source information will show up for you now. And then some of the other new features that we've added in Enterprise Portal as well. As an alpha feature, if you are interested, you can offer SAML-based authorization support for the Enterprise Portal. So this is particularly good if you have enterprise customers that want to integrate the Enterprise Portal ongoing into like their existing SSO login system. So without this, for those of you that have experienced it so far, you get almost like a magic link login where the person goes to log in, they get an auth code back, they enter the auth code and they're in. If it is very security conscious enterprise that wants that SSO login integration so they can easily onboard and offboard new users, you can now offer the ability to support SAML and in the future SCIM integration. So that is something that if you're interested in, please let us know. It is behind a feature flag right now, just as we get some first users on it, but it is ready to use with your customers. We've also made Enterprise Portal more live updating as well. As you are releasing new releases, that is updating. As support bundles come in, that is updating. So that's just cutting down on the user's ability to need to refresh to see new information. And so if they are leaving it up as a dashboard, especially if they're monitoring a deployment, they'll actually see like the instances come online and stuff now that it's more real-time updating. The other kind of exciting new thing that was added in the last quarter is you can now very easily log in as your customer to experience Enterprise Portal as they would. So this is in the vendor portal. You can go into any individual customer account. You can click that login as customer button, and it'll actually automatically pass you through as a one-time system user. And so you can experience the Enterprise Portal exactly how that customer would be. Particularly valuable if you're doing very detailed customizable instructions, where you might be setting things differently based on what channel they're assigned, etc. This can also be really helpful for onboarding if you have folks that walks a new customer through the enterprise portal and how to pull software and how to upload the support bundle. Just being able to log in as the customer and actually show it while you're onboarding, or for your docs people that want to document what that experience is like. So it's really nice to be able to log in. If you want to actually interact with their portal, try out an install, etc. Again, you're a one-time system user, so that's not going to mess up your data. It's going to be obvious that's you when you see those attempts on the back end. So in addition to this new login as the customer ability, we've also updated the default support engineer RBAC policy. So admins have always been able to do this, but one of the requests was if you are an enterprise plan customer and you get that the extra kind of default policies of sales and support engineering, that support engineers should be able to log in as customers too to help troubleshoot issues, et cetera. And so that is now part of the default RBAC policy as well. Support engineers, admins can log in as the customer here. The other thing that was very recently introduced as well is in the vendor portal side, have improved visibility into the enterprise portal email send status. So mentioned earlier when we talked about customizing emails, how many different types of emails the enterprise portal can send. But as we all know, ISP email deliveries, they can be very different depending on what scanning rules are being applied against the email, just how fast the delivery is. And so sometimes you can be stuck waiting, oh, did the customer get the email or not yet, right? So we recently added in more visibility into the logging side of the email delivery. And so you can actually see email with which email, to whom, the status being either sent, delivered, bounced. So better visibility into what's actually happening with that email if the customer says like they didn't get it, for example. This is available at either a per customer level when you look at the customer individually, or at the global level when you go to enterprise portal overall. And the emails, there'll be a list of across your entire customer base. Now, this is any emails sent after December 4th, 2025, when this logging went into effect. So it won't necessarily retroactively apply to any previously sent emails, but it will apply to all emails going forward. And then, of course, we've got to do the classic, like, one more thing tease, right? So we're going to continue to be enhancing all of the things we talked about. A lot of these have been informed by having a very tight partnership with our early design partners working on these alphas, the folks that adopted Enterprise Portal early and helped continue to give feedback and help us refine it and make it an even better, more valuable experience for you all. Really looking forward to continuing to partner with you all on what you'd like to see there. We're planning lots of continued enhancements to Enterprise Portal, Security Center, broader vendor portal functionality overall as well. But before I wrap, I did want to announce our next big capability enhancement that is now available in alpha for any interested vendors. If you remember, we were looking at the support page and I talked about how nice it is to be able to just have your customer upload a support bundle. In this example, I did that. I had my helmet installation. I collected a support bundle. I uploaded it through my enterprise portal. As playing the other side as a vendor, I see it in my vendor portal. But like, how do I know the customer did that? Unless they tell me. Now I know because I got a support bundle uploaded notification. And so this is basically announcing a new notifications capability that's now available as an initial alpha release. So it's the functionality of the alpha feature has been informed by customer feedback on the first iteration of instance notifications, which was our currently available notification system within Vendor Portal. And it's being made to select early users to help further inform and shape the functionality. And so this implementation very well may likely replace that older notifications functionality at a later time, but it doesn't yet in its early stage cover all the same things like custom metrics and everything that one does. But it already covers a lot of different event types. One of the big pieces of feedback on the first one was that you all wanted not just instance state change, but you all wanted more types of events. You wanted to know when customers had actions, right? When releases were promoted or demoted. And so we wanted to make sure that we were expanding the event types that were available. Also, some of the feedback on the last iteration was that you wanted more ways to filter, to configure it. So this is very oriented towards these alerts can be be as broad or as narrow as you want them. So more event types, finer grain filtering, and set up some of the initially available events include some high-level instance events, release events, customer events, channel events, and support events. That's how I was able to get notified that my customer, me, had uploaded a support bundle. And so that's what we're starting with as part of this alpha process. One of the reasons we're looking for design partners is we have tons of ideas for events that would be of interest to you all and worth wrapping notifications around, but we also want to be careful about things like alert fatigue, et cetera. So we're very much looking for input on what is the most important to you as far as things you would like to be notified on. But some of the things that are coming pretty soon based on feedback is we've got a license expiry alert actively in the works, hopefully releasing this week, looking at release assets downloaded, instance upgrade, and more. So just some of the examples to start to think about how you can already make use of what's already available today. So if you're a customer success manager and you want to be notified when one of your key customers uploads a support bundle, so you can either be aware of that or help jump on it, you can already do that today. You can do that support bundle uploaded. You can filter down to your key customers to make sure you're only notified when it's those customers. You can make sure it's that it's only, say, a paid license or production application, so you're not notified when they're messing around on staging. And then you can have it sent to your email or a team email alias. Another use case as a product manager, I know that I want to be notified, especially if I'm not in direct control of the release promotion pipeline. I want to know when the newest version of the software has actually been promoted to the release and been made available to customers, because I want to go have some adoption follow-up conversations with some of my key customers as well. And so that's something you can already do as well with what's available today, using basically our release promoted, what channel it was promoted, which application, and I can either send that to an alias for the PM team to make sure the whole PM team knows, or since it supports webhook integrations already, I could actually send that to the product team Slack channel as well. And so with that, we'll share this deck afterwards. I put some reference documentation link to all the different things that we touched on today. And again, stick around for Martez's talk up next, because he's going to go a lot deeper on the customizable instructions and show off some of more of what you can do with that. And then again, some of the alphas that I mentioned today that we would love to partner with you on. If you're interested in any of these, either the event notifications that we just announced, Security Center, that SAML authorization for Enterprise Portal, the customizable instructions that I touched on and Martez will go deep on, let us know if you'd like access. Now, either reach out via your account executive or via Slack.